Hi everybody. We all know that Jeeps are going electric, and now we have some new information. The brand just released the Renegade and Compass 4xe. Those are both plug-in hybrids over in Europe. So now we have all the information on them, and I want to share that with you. So in this video, we'll show you all the new photos and video, and we'll cover the specs on these two new hybrid models. And then of course, I will tell you how this powertrain could land here in North America, and it's not under the hood of a Renegade or a Compass. So what are we waiting for? Let's jump into it. Back at the 2020 Consumer Electronics Show, Jeep rolled out all of these 4xe vehicles. Now, they haven't actually said that the Compass and Renegade plug-in hybrids are coming to North America. We do know that a Wrangler plug-in hybrid is coming though, so this powertrain might actually come here in a Wrangler, or it could at least be a version of this powertrain. So now let's take a look at these European Jeeps and see what they're using. Both the Renegade and Compass 4xe pair a 1.3 liter turbocharged gas engine with an electric motor located at the rear axle, powered by an 11.4 kilowatt battery pack. On its own, the 1.3 liter turbo has two different outputs, either 130 horsepower or 180, and that electric motor puts out 60 horsepower, which means you can get a total in these two models of either 190 horsepower or 240. Thanks to all the torque coming from that electric engine, these vehicles will make the jump from 0 to 62 miles per hour, that's 100 kilometers an hour, in about 7.5 seconds. What is interesting about this system is that it is all-wheel drive, but there's no actual connection between the front and the rear axle. The front axle is driven by that small gasoline engine. The rear axle is driven by that 60 horsepower electric motor, which is packaged right into the axle. So there's no actual connection between the two, but that doesn't matter because you still get all-wheel drive. These are plug-in hybrid models, which means that they can run on electricity alone. Now, Jeep has said that in Europe, both of these models are rated to get 50 kilometers on a full charge. The 11.4 kilowatt hour battery pack is fitted in a steel casing underneath the second row of seats. Now, Jeep says that the storage space back there is practically the same as the conventional versions, so you do lose a tiny bit of space, but not too much at all. And that also means that with this layout, there is still enough space for a full-size spare tire in both of these vehicles. 3 different everyday drive modes will be available with these 4xe models. They're pretty standard for plug-in hybrids. The first one is just hybrid mode. That is sort of just general hybrid driving. It's going to use a combination of the electric motor and the internal combustion engine to drive this Jeep down the road. And there also will be some power recouped thanks to regenerative braking. Next, you have full electric mode. Pop it in full EV, and this Jeep is going to run that full 50 kilometers until the battery is empty. And eventually, when the battery does get down, it will just kick over automatically back into hybrid mode and start charging that battery up again slowly. Finally, you have e-save mode. This is for when you might want to save some of the power in your battery pack. Put it on e-save, and it will just use that internal combustion engine until you choose to go back to hybrid and use that power. These systems, or this setting, usually makes sense if you're on the highway, you're cruising, it's fairly efficient anyway. Put it in e-save, and then once you get into the city and you're downtown, put it over into full electric, and that's where you should use your electricity, because in the city, you're not nearly as efficient. The regenerative braking has settings as well. Again, this is pretty standard in hybrid models. Jeep calls it e-coasting, and you can set up how active you want it to be. Just like regular internal combustion versions, these Jeeps also get off-road driving modes, of course, that are tailored to using its hybrid system. So the different modes are auto. This of course is just going to constantly monitor the situation and then change the traction management based on the inputs. You have sport mode, and this is of course going to deliver sporty driving. It's going to lean even heavier on those electric motors and all that torque to really help you take off. Then you have snow mode. This is important with electric motors because in snow, you don't want a ton of torque right away. You want a real nice, slow, smooth acceleration. So snow mode is important, especially with those torquey electric motors. Next up, sand and mud mode. Pretty self-explanatory. And then finally, Trailhawk versions only will get a rock climb mode. There is another pretty neat feature I have to tell you about, and this actually could transfer over to the Wrangler. It makes a lot of sense. It's called four-wheel drive lock. Basically, you hit the four-wheel drive lock button, and at speeds under 15 kilometers an hour, it's going to make sure that you have 50-50 power distribution at the rear. It's basically like locking up your rear end with a locking differential, except for you're using the electric motor. So when you're going at slow speeds, you're going to have true four-wheel drive with basically a locker back there. Once you go over 15 and you have four-wheel drive lock on, the four-wheel drive goes back to being an on-demand system, which will react if slip is detected. Another huge advantage to electric motors is you pretty much eliminate the need for gear reduction. Gear reduction is so that you're able to run at a high RPM, but only have, slow wheel speed so you can really get all of that power down to the ground. While electric motors, they don't have the same problems that ICE motors have. Electric motors can give you all that torque instantly, and that is really one of the huge benefits when it comes to EVs and off-roading. Furthermore, you definitely add weight when you go electric with the batteries and the electric motors. However, as long as the weight is down low and really properly positioned, it can help you by lowering your center of gravity. So having motors right in the axle, way down low like that is actually a really smart idea to help anchor these Jeeps into the ground. Now, this is just the Renegade and Compass, but if this stuff arrives on the Wrangler, I think it's just going to make that thing better off-road. What about charging times? Well, FCA does have a solution for you. They call it the Easy Wall Box. They say it connects to a normal domestic outlet in Europe, and it provides 2.3 kilowatts of charging power. Now, with that wall box, you're going to recharge your Jeep in less than 5 hours. You can also upgrade to a 7.4 kilowatt Easy Wall Box, and that thing will recharge your Jeep in less than 2 hours. Now, like I said off the top, we don't know exactly if the Renegade and the Compass 4xe are going to arrive here in North America. We do know a plug-in Wrangler is coming though, although I don't think after reading all of this information that the Wrangler will come with this exact powertrain. I personally doubt that Jeep will disconnect the front axle from the rear axle. Plus, the Wrangler is rear wheel drive based, whereas these two vehicles are front wheel drive based. That's a huge difference. The things I do think could carry over to the Wrangler though are the electric motor sandwiched right into the axle, the E-axle that Jeep calls it. That makes a lot of sense. Plus that 11.4 kilowatt hour battery pack is probably just big enough for a plug-in hybrid Wrangler as well. Now, I can't wait for electrification to come to the Wrangler because if done right, it should only make this thing even better off-road. Now, these 4xe models are hitting the roads in Europe right now, and hopefully here in North America, we don't have to wait much longer than this year. By 2021, we should definitely have some details, and I'm gonna bring them to you. So guys, that's it for this video. Why don't you go below, leave me a comment, let me know what you think of the 4xe system and whether or not you are excited about a plug-in hybrid Wrangler. And as always, while you're down there, click like, click subscribe, and then come right back here to the channel for the latest news, views, and real-world reviews. See you guys.